Welcome to the SoulVybe experience, where we vibe with the cosmos and explore spiritual awakenings. I'm Soul, your companion on this journey of soulful introspection and cosmic exploration. Let's dive into the rhythms of the universe and discover the magic of enlightenment together. Today's topic on the SoulVybe experience is overcoming fear with faith. How do we overcome fear with faith or through faith? However you would like to say it. How do we overcome the fear? I remember a scripture that tells us, in all thy getting, get understanding. So the first thing we will have to do, obviously, is understand fear. So we can understand fear. We have to understand that fear is a natural human emotion that hinders growth and progress if not addressed. It can manifest in various forms, such as failure, fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of rejection, fear of loss of security. There are so many different forms or ways that fear shows up. And once we can recognize how fear shows up, we can then move from that space and begin to take a step toward that direction with love. And what we find oftentimes with the fear of failure is that the fear of failure actually has nothing to do with failure itself. And let's think about it. We failed a million times before. We failed maybe a piece of classwork. We failed a course, maybe. We failed a test. We've tried to walk and we fell onto the ground. We started a new task. We failed at it before we learned. We failed many times. So it's not actually the fear of failure that we're looking at. It's the fear of success. If I succeed, can I keep this going? Am I really that great to when I'm to the fact or to the point that when I'm in front of so many people, will I be able to keep this success up? How embarrassing would it be if I gained everything and lost everything in front of the world? There's so many things that may come to our mind. So, how do we stop this fear of failure or even the fear of the unknown? Because there's no journey we've ever taken where we know the full path. Even when God gives us a vision, He gives us the end vision, He gives us the end goal. He never actually gives us the full vision. Because if He gave us what was in the middle, if He gave us the obstacles, if He gave us the trauma that we were going to face, if He gave us the bosses or the enemies that we were going to face before we started the journey, we would never take it for fear of failure. But fear of failure also shows up into the fear of unknown, right? And then the fear of rejection. What if people don't accept me when I reach this level? What if people don't like me when I'm being my true self? What if people don't like me when I tell the truth? Fear shows up in many different ways, but how do we overcome fear with faith? We can step into the power of faith. But before we step into the power of faith, what I want to do is I want to remind you of this scripture in Psalms 23, verse 4, where it says, Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod, thy staff, they comfort me. Imagine going to do the very thing that you fear the most. And when going to do the very thing that you fear the most, you begin to quote this scripture. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Where's the valley of the shadow of death? We're in a place where death is the shadow of everything and everyone. Death is in the shadows for an animal. Death is in the shadows for your aunt. Death is in the shadows for you. We're walking in the valley of the shadow of death. But while we're walking in that valley, we're down here, right? In that valley, while we're walking in that valley, why won't we fear? Let's think about why won't we fear? Just take a moment and think about why we won't fear. And remember what God gave us. And that takes us to another scripture, right? This is the power of faith. 2 Timothy Verse 1, where God says, I have not given you the spirit of fear, power, love, and a sound mind. The sound. Let's focus on the sound, right? What's the sound? The sound is the same as the word that we talk about Christ being, or we talk about that is of God. That word is vibration. That word is frequency. That word is mindset. Because the mind is only concerned with four things, and those four things are each words. It's concerned with life, it's concerned with death, it's concerned with good, and it's concerned with evil. Those are the four things: life, death, good, and evil. So if the mind is only concerned with those four things, we're either going to have faith that those four things are going to work out for our good in life, again, and for the good. But if it's working out of fear, we'll be in fear that we'll be close to death and fear of losing something. Fear of evil. We'll be in the fear, thinking that we're going to be overtaken by evil. So those two scriptures really can help you out on that journey. But when we look at the power of faith, you think about what faith is. Faith is really a transformative force. It's a transformative force that empowers individuals to face their fears with courage and resilience. It involves trusting in a higher power, believing in the possibility of positive outcomes, even in the face of challenges, even in challenging circumstances. This is why God oftentimes, or Christ oftentimes said, don't pay attention to the circumstances that you're facing. You know how they say, see, don't look at it with your two eyes, but look at it with your mind eye. Walk by faith, not by sight. Because when we walk by sight, the sight shows us that we may be defeated. The sight shows us that this obstacle is much greater than us. The sight shows us that we can be crushed at the instance of a rock falling on us, or a mountain jumping on us, or a lion attacking us, or maybe a best friend who is not that truthful. We're walking in fear, right? We see those things with the eyes, but when we have an outcome in the mind, when we have faith in that outcome that we hold in the mind shapes how we respond, even if that did happen. But if we've already defeated ourselves here, we don't even have a fighting chance of overcoming that fear with faith. You got to have the faith in here first. But if you're gonna have the faith in your mind, which is what the scripture was talking about, or what the ancients were talking about when they spoke of mind, when they spoke of the heart, they were speaking of the mind, of the conscious mind, right? But if you're going to have the power of faith to overcome fear, you also have to have strategies of overcoming fear. And the strategies, we really have to look at practical strategies, because practical strategies are rooted in faith. If they're rooted in faith, they're also rooted in power. But those practical strategies also include prayer, which is you speaking, and it includes meditation, which is you visualizing and planting the seed of the tree that you want to grow inside of you, whether that tree is love, whether that tree is courage, whether that tree is fear. Yes, you can plant seeds of fear, but we want to uproot those seeds. We want to uproot them. So it also includes prayer, meditation, and the last one is affirmation. But the affirmations that you must have must be of trust and confidence, meaning your insides must be able to trust the affirmations that you're giving yourself. If you can't trust the affirmations you're giving yourself, turn your affirmation into an affirmation. Think about that. Let's change that I to a O. Turn your affirmation into an affirmation. And an affirmation is when you ask a question. So the affirmation is, I am rich. The affirmation is, why am I so rich? The affirmation is, I am healthy. If you can't believe that, ask yourself an affirmation, which is, why am I so healthy? And your mind will begin to give you all the reasons of why you're healthy. And if you can meditate on those reasons, you could begin to manifest that in your being. You could begin to manifest that out in life, and your magnetic field will be able to send that signal out and bring that back to you like a boomerang every time. So seeking guidance from scripture can help you as well. Spiritual teachings can help you. It can provide strength and it can provide guidance in navigating fear. Many people don't really dive as deep into it, but sometimes we just have to take our time with it. Sometimes we just really need to sit down and meditate on it. This is why scripture never said read it. It said meditate on these things, right? Meditate on what is good. Meditate on what is true. Meditate on what is honorable. Meditate on what is right. You have to be able to meditate on these things. And once you meditate on them, once you pray on it, once you affirm it or affirm it, right? Once it is formed, then we move out of the strategy phase. We move into the faith in action, because faith without work is dead. So we move into the faith in action, putting faith into action. It involves taking steps and stepping out of your comfort zone. It involves stepping out of your comfort zone, confronting fears, and taking proactive steps toward personal growth and development. It requires trusting in divine providence and surrendering fears and anxiety. Why should we surrender the fear and the anxiety? Let's think about that. Let's go to when Christ said, "You should be anxious for nothing." Many of the new versions will tell you, it says, "Be careful for nothing," but it really says, "Be anxious for nothing, but everything by prayer and supplication." What's a supplication? And I know y'all probably know what a supplication is, but we can really look into what a supplication is. Many people will say, "Oh, that's a prayer," but a supplication is asking or begging for something honestly, earnestly, or humbly. So, God, I know I don't have this. However, I know with you I can have all things. I know with you I can do all things. Help me become courageous. Help me become loving. Help me become kind. And then he'll start putting you in situations where you have to make the decision to be kind. Help me become disciplined. And he'll start putting you in situations where you have to practice discipline. Help me become patient, and he'll put situations in your face or in your realm, in your world, where you have to be patient. So be careful what you ask for. But when you ask with prayer and supplication. Now, prayer is the feeling that you have behind the images that you have here. So you can pray positive or you can pray negative. The supplication is the asking part. The prayer never stops. The prayer is your thought. So you can even see a fear. I'm afraid of spiders. And in your mind, visualize yourself laughing at spiders. Really build that feeling up that spiders are so hilarious inside your mind. And that can help you overcome the spider. And with supplication, the asking or begging, that's your affirmation. You can form your affirmation and say, "Why was I afraid of spiders the whole time? I am not afraid of spiders. Spiders are hilarious." These are affirmations behind your affirmation, right? I just put everything together. I put the prayer and the supplication together just to give you an example of it. But for now, that's enough. We're going to end this video right here. Yeah, you can leave a comment, like, subscribe, whatever the case may be. If you want to hear me talk on something else, be sure to type it in the comments. Let me know what you want to hear me teach on, and we'll get back to you later at another time. Peace.